Welcome to episode 3 of season 2 of IndyStar's Dawg Talk podcast. We are joined here with Butler basketball insider Akeem Glaspie of the Indianapolis Star. I am Mac Lenesk, sports editor for the Star. Akeem, we talked last week about the backcourt, the Bulldogs backcourt. This week we're going to talk about the Bulldogs front court, break it down ahead of the season with it just right around the corner. But before we do that, let's talk about one of the players in the front court in a story. This is going to be on Patrick McCaffrey. A story you wrote that was at IndyStar.com last week. If you haven't had a chance to read it, please do. It's about the brothers McCaffrey. It's about Connor, the coach, Patrick, the super senior, and Jack McCaffrey, who will be a 2025 recruit for Butler. Can you just talk a little bit about the story, what you learned about these three, and why Indianapolis is home for these guys?
Yeah, what I learned about the McCaffreys is that, this whole plan came together organically, or I guess it wasn't a plan. It came together organically. It just, the pieces kind of fell in place, and now they're all at Iowa East. I think we determined geographically is where they're located.
Correct. That is, yes.
Yeah. So, it started with Connor's ambition to become a coach, and then Patrick enters the transfer portal. Connor starts with the Pacers, and Patrick finds a new place to play in Indianapolis. And I will say that Patrick and Connor are the closest. I mean, they're 20 months apart. They're best friends. So Connor being in Indy definitely helped in terms of Patrick coming. But Jack, he kind of wanted to do his own thing. And he credits Coach Maurice Joseph with really making him feel wanted and making him realize that Butler is the place that he wants to continue his basketball career. And then, Connor leaves the Pacers for Butler. And now Connor will have a chance to coach Patrick this year and Jack next year. And just kind of the brothers McCaffrey are all in Indy now. And just even the Caitlin Clark of it all just kind of helped the pieces fall into place where, an Iowa family is now an Indy family.
It's worth noting that Connor McCaffrey worked at the Pacers a year before the Fever got the first overall pick and drafted Caitlin Clark. So it just worked out that way. And Butler was recruiting Jack McCaffrey well before Patrick McCaffrey decided to transfer to Butler. So it all just kind of worked out. You'd like to said, not really planned, but hey, the great plans are the ones, whatever the saying is, but it worked out for them. So let's talk about Patrick McCaffrey and his role in this front court. He's 6'8", 6'9", versatile, could play the 5 in this, on a team that's doesn't have a established 5. I think the rotation at that position we're going to see a little bit with Bowden Capke, with Cassia, with Andre Screen, and now with Patrick McCaffrey. How do you see him fitting in? Do you see him possibly starting in that spot?
Yeah, I could see him starting as a forward, a hybrid 5, however you want to call it. If you want to say they're starting, 3 forwards, or because he's not a true center, and I don't think they'll kind of need him to be or want him to be a true center. But he's versatile. He's a playmaker. He can defend. I mean, he's 6'9", so he has length. Obviously, you don't want him banging in the post with other centers, but the versatility that he brings, and as a playmaker. If they want to call it a death lineup, with 5 shooters, they could do that. And Patrick could definitely contribute in that way. That would be an interesting way to start. I think there might be a good chance that he's kind of the starting forward to start the season. But, Butler has several options as well that we'll get to that could also see a lot of time at the 5.
Okay. Well, we're going to start with Colt Langdon in the front court, who we're not sure we're going to see this year. The plan is to redshirt him. So my question to you is if we see him, have things gone terribly wrong, or has he just been so good in practice that has to throw him in there? Because he's still just 17 years old.
Yes, it's hard to say. I mean, in a perfect world, he doesn't play. And in the perfect world, he continues to grow and learn the system and, use this year to get stronger and continue to develop as a player. I will say he looks great. I mean, as a 17-year-old, he doesn't look out of place amongst his older teammates. He's a capable 3-level scorer. He can, he's working on his playmaking and defense, which every freshman in the country will say that they're, working on playmaking and defense. So I don't think he's out of place in that way. Ideally, he doesn't play, but, is there a world where he comes in and just lights it up and looks so good that he's needed on the court? Yes, but forward is their deepest position, as we'll get to. I mean, you'd have to leapfrog, Andre Screen and Jamil Telford and Pierre Brooks to get minutes. I mean, they're already going to be so hard to come by. And Patrick McCaffrey, that it just doesn't seem like the minutes would be there for Colt to burn his red shirt, but maybe his talent is just that undeniable that he'll come in and make an immediate impact. But I don't think that'll be the case. I think the plan is for him to redshirt.
Okay. The next player we're going to talk about was kind of like a theoretical redshirt year because we didn't see a ton of Augusto Cassia. He was injured in the preseason and the build-up to last season. We saw him in 15 games. I think 13 of them were in the Big East, so he didn't really get to play against some of the smaller schools, get some confidence, get some minutes under his belt. And then you're just throwing him to the Wolves in Big East play. But what we did see from Augusto Cassia, and we talked about this earlier, is there were moments where you could see the talent, the potential. The game Creighton stands out. That 99-98 best game of the season, if anyone was watching. Fantastic game. But there were moments where they needed his athleticism to keep up with a team that's going to score almost 100 points. And you saw it, in a 99-98 game, it doesn't sound like a lot of defense was being played. But when he came in there, you could see that he was a difference maker for them. For like Creighton's like, oh, I got to deal with this guy who's got a 7'2", 7'3" wingspan on the perimeter. So we didn't see him a ton. You think we're going to see more of him this year, correct? Is he still a work in progress, or is this a potential breakout year for him?
I'd say the key for Augusto is to embrace his role. He's going to be very valuable in the role that he plays. Last year, it was kind of a defensive specialist / rim protector. This year, if he can just continue to add on that, and I've seen him just working really well in the pick and roll. His ability to catch lobs. I mean, you can just throw it up there and he goes up and gets it. That's a skill that is very good to have, and that's something that other teams need to be aware of. And so if he's cut his roll into the basket, the body needs to be on him. So that's and you can build off that, where he, fake the lob and kick to the corner or something like that. So he has a valuable skill set that, can continue to grow. So he's still a work in progress, but if he can embrace his role as a rim runner, rim protector, you wouldn't really run a lot of offensive sets for him. He's not someone you want posted in the corner, shooting threes, but as a rim runner and a rim protector, he can be extremely valuable. So if he can embrace his role, he'll have a key spot on this team.
The next player we're going to talk about was a freshman last year. Played about 7 minutes a game. When you saw him, though, you could see where he fits. He looks like a Butler big. He reminds me of Andrew Shravis. This is Bowden Kapke. He's a big who can rebound. He's rugged, but he can also shoot. And you saw that in spots last year where he could stretch it, and they're like, go ahead and shoot. I think even in the Creighton game, it's like, go ahead and shoot, big guy, is what McDermott. And then he hits the threes. And I think there was actually in that Creighton game, they had a mic on Greg McDermott, and he said, get out on Kapke. Big man can shoot. And so he's getting that reputation, and he can stretch the floor. He's going to be a sophomore this year. There looks to be minutes there with Jalen Thomas gone. And again, we don't know where Patrick McCaffrey is going to play. We don't know what we're going to get with Augusto Cassia. So if Bowden Kapke, had a great offseason, shaped his body up, and is willing to take the next step, there's an opportunity there for him this season.
Yes, and I'll say that work in the weight room is key because, it's a lot to ask for a 17, 18-year-old to come in and play in the post in the Big East. But I will say, just looking at Bowden, he's filled out. He looks stronger. That the baby face is gone. He looks kind of like someone ready to contribute in the Big East in extended minutes. You could play him for spurts, but defensively is going to be where if he can hold down on that end, then he'll earn his role on this team because offensively the skills are there. The skills are obvious. He can shoot. He has touch around the rim. He can handle a little bit if needed to. And he has a really good rapport with Finley Bizjack as well. So just that the chemistry on the court on the offensive end is there. Defensively, if that improved strength and conditioning that he's getting in the offseason, that could help him. I don't know necessarily if he'll be the starting center, but I could see his role expanding as the season progresses. And if he ended the season as a starting center, I wouldn't be surprised. That'd be a great development kind of win for the Butler program because he has all the skills to be successful as a modern big.
And Bowden and Finley played on that 3-on-3 team over the offseason, so helped develop some of that rapport. One of my favorite players, because we wear glasses, is Andre Screen. Probably the only prototypical big on this team. He's a 7-footer. He's not, I don't want to say fleet of foot. I don't want to knock him, but he's not, a guy who can play multiple positions. He's a 5. He is a center. He is going to be the guy who protects the rim, hopefully scores close to the basket, and set screens and things like that. And his name is Andre Screen, who I think showed more than people expected coming into last season. I don't know how much was kind of expected, but not a ton. And then you saw him play, and you're like, oh, this guy's useful. He is a useful piece off the bench. Is that how you see his role again this year? Kind of being that bench big, when they need it, because they will need someone. I mean, how many people got to bring a capable 7-footer off the bench, playing about 20 minutes a game, as opposed to someone, not really someone you want to play 30 minutes a game.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. I mean, whether he starts or comes off the bench, if you can give them 20 to 25 strong minutes, then that's so big for this team. I mean, offensively, he's a very capable scorer. We knew that, but I was even surprised with the touch around the rim. I mean, at one point, he was one of the most effective field goal shooters in the nation, just with the clip he was able to.
It was like 25. He was like 25 to 28 or something around the rim.
Yeah.
It was a ridiculous number.
Yeah, and then he took a jumper, and then he definitely heard about it. But he's in terms of scoring at the basket, that's a skill that he possesses. And a rim protector, he needs to do so without fouling. Just talking to him last week, that's something that, I mean, because his length he's a true 7-footer. He's a not just a theoretical shot blocker. He is someone who can defend the rim, but he has to do so without fouling. If he can do that, then he'll be, again, a very capable all-around player, not just an offensive piece. If he's in foul trouble, then you'll see more Augusta, you'll see more Bowden. But if Andre can develop on the defensive end, then again, he's just something that a lot of teams don't have. Again, is a true center. He's not a stretch 5 in any sense of the word, but he can score in the post, and he's a load down there. So yeah, whether he's starting or coming off the bench, he's going to play a big role for this team this year.
All right, now we're getting into the starters. These are the guys who the bread is buttered, because this is Jamil Telfort time and Pierre Brooks. We'll start with Telfort, who, I didn't watch Northeastern basketball 2 years ago. It's not on my radar. Watching him play last year, you could see the offense run through him. He's kind of a point forward. I think he averaged something like 3 assists a game too, so he knows how to move the ball. But the bully ball, where he would back in, and then get close to the basket or hit a fit, everything seemed to run through him when Butler needed a basket. It was get Jamil the ball, let him go to work. Really thought he had a great season. He wasn't sure if he was coming back or not. Decided to come back, much to sure Dad Mata's delight. Do you see him, is this what he is, or do you see him, is there another level to Jamil's game? How important is he to this Butler team?
He's the main cog of this team, just with everything that he does. He scores at all 3 levels. I think it was closer to 5 assists a game that he was creating. He's a playmaker with the ball in his hand, and he's a really good defender as well. So as Jamil goes, this team goes. So I can't use the word X factor because I already used that for someone else, but he is the main cog of the corkscrew. That's probably not a term, but he's as this team goes, he'll go. So does he have another level? That I'm not sure. I mean, again, he's an older player. He has a lot of experience starting, 70 plus games at Northeastern. He's played with Team Canada, so he has Olympic experience as well. So I don't necessarily know if he has another level, but if he just maintains his consistency, I mean, he's a double-digit scorer in the Big East. He's a potential all Big East contributor. So just he's going to be the kind of the go-to player on Butler at both ends of the court, and there's going to be a lot asked of him, and I think he's ready to kind of step up as one of the better players in the Big East.
Among better players, do you see him? Last year, I think he was one of the captains last year. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So how do you see second year here? Do you see him kind of like, this is my team? This is, a bigger leadership role, knowing that, what we just said, he is the main guy. Is he ready to be an alpha on this team?
I definitely think so. And I definitely think that, he kind of embraced that last year with some of the late game shots. And if in a late game situation, they're going to post him on the block, and he's going to make it happen one way or another. So he's definitely someone who's embracing big moments and doesn't shy away from that. So I feel like he established himself as an alpha last year. And he actually talked about Patrick kind of, it's a cliche, coach on the floor. And obviously when you're a coach's son, that's kind of expected. But Patrick provides a calming presence to the team as well. And just his basketball IQ it just allows everyone to be like, okay, we just need to execute and we don't need to panic because we know what we need to do and we trust each other. And I will say defensively, just talking to everyone on the team, Pierre Brooks as well, and Jamil, defense has kind of been their main emphasis because these guys can score. Jamil can score. Pierre can score. We'll get to that in a minute. But defensively, that's kind of where they're hunkering down on that end of the floor to become a better team. Because if they can improve defensively, then this team, I don't see how they're not a tournament team. So if Jamil is kind of spearheading that, Patrick kind of spearheading that, their improvements on the defensive end, I think that'll go a long way with helping them improve. And I think Jamil can do that, and he's shown that.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick McCaffrey, this is his 6th year in college basketball. I don't think anything's going to come as a surprise to him. He was in the Big Ten, so the Big East won't, he'll be used to the rugged midweek, late night game battles, where you're going to need some muscle, need some strength. All right, well, let's go to Pierre Brooks then, the leading scorer for last year. Yes, we were talking about Telford is as great as he is, but Pierre Brooks actually led this team in scoring last year. Really, because a bit piece player at Michigan State, not really sure what you were going to get with him, and he hit the ground running. It seemed like Thad basically said, we need you to score so many points. We need you to be, like we said, an alpha. And they actually had multiple. There were guys who were not afraid to shoot on this team last year. You had DJ Davis, Pierre Brooks, Jamil Telford. If you needed a bucket, they were fine going to get it. You looked at some other teams in the state, they were like tentative when they were open to shoot. Not these guys. These guys, if they had a sliver of an opening, they were taking a shot. Again, average almost 15 points a game, 4 rebounds, big-bodied, kind of I guess we're calling him a 3. Are we calling him a 3?
Yes, good.
Not a big 2, but a 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
but you had him and you had Telford, and that's option 1A, option 1B, and that's very hard for teams to defend. So, if both of them are getting theirs in a single game, Butler's looking great. But where do you see Pierre Brooks? Do you see him taking, again, like another step? Because we didn't know what we were going to see last year. He showed us, he's still a pretty good player. This is the guy that won Mr. Basketball in Michigan. So he's good. He's out of that shadow of, he's away from home. He's in a new environment, and he really thrived. Is there another step for him to take?
Yeah, that's the scary part. I mean, again, Pierre didn't play a lot at Michigan State, 4-star recruit, like you said, former Mr. Basketball. If Pierre takes another step, that's a pro. I mean, he's probably an overseas pro, but if Pierre takes another step in his game, we're talking potential NBA player, because watching him shoot from the wing, it's just that's cash money. I mean, he gets into his rhythm, and those threes go up with hand in his face, open, contested, off screens. That's pure. That jumper is pure, and he has enough strength to get into the lane and score through contact. I mean, the athleticism isn't elite, but he knows how to use his body and get to his spots. So in a team with a lot of great shooters, Pierre can hang with the best of them. So that's a great skill to have. So if Pierre, I think he'll be needed to take another step, because, like you said, DJ Davis is gone. DJ took a lot of shots. So he did take a lot of shots. So those are shots. There's shots available for Pierre to have. And I mean, he's a 3-level scorer. He's someone that might be he can put himself on some NBA radars if he were to take another jump. So that's going to be exciting to see what he can do offensively. Again, defensively, he's someone who will tell you that, he needs to improve in that area and kind of embrace that part of his game. And again, not just himself, but the entire team is kind of open to improve in that end. But I mean, Pierre has all the talent, again, to be an all Big East type player.
All right. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot then, since we've previewed the backcourt. Now we've previewed the front court. Give me Akeem Glaspie starting 5.
Oof, I've given this out on other podcasts actually, but let's see.
Well, this is the one that matters, Akeem. This is the one with your name on it. Okay.
That's true. If I had to, there's some reports out there that Butler doesn't have one true point guard, but I think Kobe King will get the first crack at the starting point guard spot. So I'll go Kobe at point guard. I think Jamie Kaiser starts at the 2. I haven't had a chance to see him a lot, but just, again, talking to Thad, he likes the size that Kaiser brings at the 2, and the size that will help them play better defense, because that's quite a shift going from Kobe, who's, about 6'1", but athletic and super quick, and Jamie, from Posh to DJ, who are, both 6 feet, 6'1", maybe. Yeah. But to go from them to Colby and Jamie, that's a lot of length, and still some very talented shooters at the 3. The 3-4 is however you want to, who's a 3, who's a 4, it doesn't really matter. They're interchangeable. That's Jamil and Pierre, and then the 5. It's a theoretical 5 because Andre Screen is the only true center on the team. and I guess Bowden's a modern center as well. He can play some 4 if he needs to. But I'll go Patrick, as a starting.
I knew that was coming. You're buttering it up there. Not this guy, not this guy, this guy.
Yes, but I will say, in a perfect world, Bowden is your starting 5 by the end of the season. Bowden is the stretch 5. If he can hold his own defensively, I don't know if he'll ever be a double-digit rebounder, but his offensive versatility is just it's sky high. The things you can do with him, and if you had a Finley, just the shooting that you can do with 1 through 5. If Bowden is your 5, that just has to be tantalizing. And I know Coach Barlow is probably drawing up sets for days, to utilize their skill sets. So I think Patrick gets the first shot. You might even see some Andre starting, depending on the matchup. But Bowden is kind of the dark horse there that to look out for by the end of the year that can maybe add some more inside-outside game to the 5.
All right. Well, he is Indy Stars Butler Insider Akeem Glaspie. You can follow him on Twitter at the Akeem Glaspie. Make sure it's the Akeem Glaspie, not the other Akeem Glaspie. Is there another one?
No.
Okay. No. So what was the necessary?
Just to know that it's that I'm him. That's what.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, he is the Akeem Glaspie. I am Matt Glennis. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Dawg Talk Butler Basketball.